It has actually been over 3 years since I've last done a collection update, and I haven't really talked about the games that I have picked up since. The only thing I kind of did was a YouTube short in which I kind of showcased some quick pickups I did here and there. But I've been kind of quietly, collecting more games for the PS2 and original Xbox and kind of keeping my eye out for some GameCube titles here and there, but haven't really let you guys know what was going on. So I thought that I would give you guys a bit of an update. I'm actually almost done with my Gen 6 collection. So at the end of this video, what I'll do is I'll tell you guys how many more games I need to get for the Xbox and the PS2 specifically. I still haven't really started on some GameCube games. To be honest, I'm saving those for last because those tend to be the pricier games from that era. So I'm just kind of making a small list. I've got the games that I have figured out that I want to get, and I kind of have to look and kind of, I guess, deal spot for some interesting sales or anything that's kind of going on, and of course my local game stores, and see what they have in stock. But in any case, I wanted to show you guys at least the games that I have now. Now there's a lot of titles, but I'm not going to go over basically the games that I got previously. So if you already watched my collection update from 3 years ago and also the YouTube short, this video will not encompass those games. It's just going to encompass the new games I've gotten since then. All right. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let me know if you spot some of your favorites in here, and let's get to it. All right, guys. So I'm going to start with the original Xbox games. Now, keep in mind, I'm not always going to be able to comment on some of these games I'm going to showcase because, well, to be quite frank with you, I don't really have a lot of clear memories from this time when I was gaming. So I don't know, my memories are kind of hazy when thinking back to this era. I know of some games I did play and played a lot, and I'll mention those here. But there might be a couple of titles where I just really don't have much to say because I don't really recall playing them at all. So in any case, I'm going to start with the original Xbox games here, and then we're going to move on to the PS2 titles. All right. So first up, we have a game here called Kill Switch. Haven't played this, haven't really heard of it, but looks like some type of action shooter with like an interesting twist on it. Yeah, take cover, take aim, take over. So anyway, it looked really cool. I added it to my list, and I guess I'm looking forward to playing it. Here's a nice look at the manual and stuff, and yeah, picked up that. Next up, we have The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Now, I have the Two Towers as well on Xbox. I think I showed that off in my previous video, but I didn't pick up the other games. And I remember playing one of the Lord of the Rings titles. I don't know if it was this one or the Two Towers. But I remember actually really liking it back in the day, and I do have the Lord of the Rings 4K Blu-ray collection. I did buy that recently, so it might be worth it to kind of watch those movies and perhaps get into the games again one day. All right, next up we have the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. I never played this game, but I heard it's actually the best in the Elder Scrolls franchise. People seem to really love this game. I only got into the series with Skyrim on the Xbox 360, but I wanted to pick up an original Xbox copy here. This is backwards compatible on the Series X. Don't have a manual, and it's a Platinum Hits disc, so it's pretty bare bones and basic, but for that price, I just couldn't ignore it, so I decided to pick it up anyway. Next up, we have Far Cry Instincts. I believe this is a remake slash like a different take on the original Far Cry game. This is back when Ubisoft acquired the franchise, and I believe they're trying their own thing with it. It's supposed to be kind of similar to the first game, but they take a few different twists on the gameplay. Some people really love it. Other people, think it's just like the bastard child of the franchise. I don't know why, but I guess when I play it, I'll give my thoughts in like a reminiscing video or something like that. All right, next up we have Halo Combat Evolved. I showed off Halo 2, the original copy, on Xbox at the time, but I never owned the original game. So finally decided to pick this up, and found a decent copy as well. So it has all the manual and paperwork and all that great stuff, including the disc. So happy to have this, and I already played, the anniversary editions on Xbox 360, but I do want to play the original game on original hardware. All right, next up we have Indigo Prophecy. This is the one of the original games from Quantic Dream. I've seen playthroughs of this game, but haven't actually played it myself. It just looks batshit insane, so quite interesting there. But I did want to pick up the game because I do like Quantic Dream's titles, and yeah, I just wanted to give this one a shot. So seems pretty cool. I'll let you guys know what I think when I play it. All right, we have Headhunter Redemption. I do have the first Headhunter on PlayStation 2, but this is is the sequel that I got on the original Xbox here. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. This is a nice clean copy of the game, I must to say though. Like the case and the disc, everything's just in excellent condition. So looking forward to seeing what this game is like. It looks kind of interesting. All right, we have Blood Rain 2 up next. I've seen this game around here and there, and I believe we got a remaster of this game somewhat recently for new gen consoles. But I have never played any of these games, but have an original Xbox copy here with the original manual and disc, so that's really nice to see, and I guess when I give it a chance, this game is also backwards compatible on the Series X, which is nice, but I'll let you guys know what I think when I get to it. Alright, we have the first Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. I only played Mercenaries 2, and a lot of fans think that that game is just absolutely terrible, but I still find it, you know, charmingly amusing. So yeah, you know, this is the first game which a lot of people just seem to think is much, much better, so I'm actually kind of interested to see what it's like, and I love Pandemic and their games. I wish they were still around today, but anyway, original copy of Mercenaries for Xbox. All right, we have Medal of Honor European Assault. I believe I showed off Frontline as well as Rising Sun on the PS2, but I didn't own European Assault yet. Got an original Xbox copy here, and you know, I haven't played the earlier... Ooh, the disc is actually loose, that's bad. I haven't played the earlier Medal of Honor games besides like Frontline before, so it'll be interesting to play all these games again to see like the rise of the franchise during this era and stuff like that, and of course the original PlayStation games. Alright, we have the first Fable up next. I only played the later titles and I didn't really care for them, but I did want to pick up the very first original game here, as I probably would have tried it if I was really heavily gaming back then. So yeah, I don't know, this is one that I'm just kind of curious about trying. Of course we have the reboot coming out for the current gen Xbox. We'll see how that fares in the future, but anyway, yeah, we have the original Fable here on the original Xbox. All right, we have Freedom Fighters up next. Heard great things from this game, and have an original Xbox copy here with the original manual and disc. Quite excellent. But yeah, never played this one. It's from the developers of Hitman 2, which is awesome. Is that IO Interactive? Yep, IO Interactive. And always love their games today, so yeah, looking forward to seeing what this one is like when I give it a chance. Alright, next up I have some Star Wars games here. We have a Platinum Hits version of Knights of the Old Republic 2, as well as a regular version of the very first game. We also have a Republic Commando and the Lego Star Wars, the video game. Now, out of all these games, I only ever played the Lego Star Wars, the video game. This game was a huge factor in my childhood, and I absolutely love this version. And so I wanted an original Xbox copy here to have for my collection, just quite excellent. I've heard great things about Republic Commando. It seems to be a great favorite for many people, so definitely wanted to pick this one up, and I'm kind of interested to try it out because I love the perspective that it offers. And then of course here we have the Knights of the Old Republic games by BioWare and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what these games are like because I wasn't really into RPGs back then. These are just basically, you know, I only have the game, the main disc there. So none of the manuals or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, gotta try out these games and see what they're like. But yeah, I do have at least the vast majority of the Star Wars games from this era. All right, and we have Ghost Recon, the very original Ghost Recon. I have Ghost Recon 2 on Xbox. I showed that off in a previous video, but I did find an original, the original game here for Xbox, so wanted to pick it up. And yeah, you know, I like the modern Ghost Recon. Well, Breakpoint wasn't that great to me, but I did like Wildlands, and of course the previous titles like Advanced Warfighter. I already covered those in a reminiscing video. And I'm also planning to do a replay of Future Soldier as well and see what that's like. But in any case, nice to have an original copy here. All right, continuing with some Tom Clancy games, we have Rainbow Six Lockdown, which I believe is the 4th game or something like that. You know, they dropped the numbers here and went with their own kind of subtitles. I think I have Rainbow Six 3 on Xbox already, so I wanted to pick up this other one and see what that's like. So yeah, nice clean copy here of the original game. I haven't played this one or any of the Rainbow Six games prior to the Vegas franchise. So this was kind of this will be all new to me when I go back and play these games. But anyway, nice to have this. All right, next up we have the Conflict games. I have Desert Storm and Desert Storm 2. Now I already have Conflict Vietnam on the original Xbox as well, but wanted to pick up these earlier titles here. This has been a long-standing series. I did play the Conflict game on Xbox 360. I already forgot the subtitle because it's an absolutely terrible game. It's a really bad. But I've heard decent things about these original titles here, and so nice to have original copies on Xbox, and kind of looking forward to playing them when I have a chance. All right, we have some Tony Hawk games here, Pro Skater 4, as well as Tony Hawk Underground, the very first one. I did play Pro Skater 4. I think I played Underground or Underground 2. I'm trying to remember. I'm so happy that this game, along with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, is getting a remake later on this year. It's a bit unfortunate that, you know, they're not going to be doing the career mode from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I think that's a bit, you know, kind of just dumb. But in any case, I'm still happy to have the remake in any capacity that they decide to give it to us. But anyway, happy to have original copy here for preservation purposes, and of course Underground, which a lot of people like and hope that they'll actually remake after they do the Pro Skater 3 and 4. That would be nice if they do Underground 1 and 2 remake right afterwards. That would be quite excellent, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, but nice to have these games on original Xbox here. All right, we have Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 here. I already have the original, I think it's Earned in Blood or whatever on Xbox as well, but I didn't have the second part of the game, which was, they kind of did like a two-part re-release. This apparently is the sequel, or it's the first game, one of those, and they're connected to each other. And this game only came out, I think, like a year or a little less than a year after that initial game. So, you know, it's a bit interesting. But in any case, you know, I'm kind of looking forward to trying this out. This was at the height of the Brothers of Arms franchise, so I'm kind of curious to see what the gameplay is like on offer here. All right, we have The Suffering up next, the original The Suffering. I want to get The Ties That Bind as well, but I've seen it around. It's just a little bit pricier than what I care to spend for it. But in any case, I have the first game here, and this just looks really cool. I've heard great things about this. It's a Midway game, which I absolutely love their titles, and yeah, just kind of looking forward to trying this out when I have a chance. All right, next up we have some Driver games. We have Driver Parallel Lines and Driver 3. Now, I have played Parallel Lines before, back on the PS2, and I remember being like so like in love with it. I was really shocked by it. Of course, you know, I never played the Grand Theft Auto franchise at the time. I was way too young, but I got a hold of Parallel Lines. I think my friend had it, and then I got it through a demo disc through PlayStation Magazine back in the day as well. So I always used to play the demo and play it at my friend's house and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have some memories of this. I like this original copy with sort of the reflective, you know, cover art. That's awesome. And then of course Driver 3, which was like a big reboot for the franchise that was like a hit or miss for a lot of people. Never actually tried this one out, but kind of looking forward to seeing what it's like and seeing if it's as bad as what people are saying or somewhere in between. All right, and of course we have our Max Payne games. We have Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. I've already played these on PC before Max Payne 3 came out because I was really excited for that, but I never actually played the console versions. So it's great to actually have these games on disc now, and of course, you know, these games are fully backwards compatible on this Series X, which is just excellent. And yeah, no manual here for Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. But I'm just excited that you know, Remedy is remaking both 1 and 2. It'd be great if when they remake Max Payne 1 and 2, they just bundle in a remaster of Max Payne 3, because all you need to do is just put 4K 60 resolution on that game, and people would be happy with the visual presentation. It's already a great looking game, but happy to have the physical copies here of the original titles on Xbox. All right, next up we have 13 here. This game has already been, I think, remade and then re-released. I don't think it was a remaster. I think it was a full remake. And it was interesting because, you know, when they remade the 13 game for modern systems, a lot of people really hated it because I guess they changed up a lot of stuff. And then they released like a remake of the remake. Where they apparently fixed a lot of the issues that people have. So I think the version for current gen consoles is actually fine, but I did like the original. I did want to have the original version here. I never played this original game, but happy to have this for Xbox. All right, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, an absolute childhood favorite of mine. Love the Midnight Club franchise. I played this one a ton back in the day on the PS2, so happy to have an original Xbox copy here, and yeah, it's just quite excellent. So anyway, I'm looking forward to playing this again and doing a reminiscing video. All right, next up we have Pariah for the original Xbox. It's an interesting copy they gave me because it's a display case only apparently, but anyway, it's fine. We have here just, it looks like a really interesting, you know, FPS with some interesting elements that you can do and stuff like that. I never played this game, never really heard of it, but while, you know, making my list for the collection and stuff like that, this one came across and it looked somewhat interesting. So anyway, yeah, looking forward to trying it out and seeing what the game is about, and I guess I'll let you guys know when I get to it. All right, we have The Thing, the original The Thing on Xbox here. They just remastered this game for current gen systems, and apparently people really like the remaster. They did a great job with it, so that's great. But I wanted to have an original version here as always, and yeah, just happy to see that. I'm glad that a lot of these games, well, really Night Dive Studios is really the only ones who's kind of remastering a lot of these titles. It's just great to see, you know, that these games are getting life again on you know, newer gen systems and not just being tied to something like an original Xbox or PS2. But in any case, I'm happy to have this and kind of looking forward to playing it because I've heard good things. All right, we have my Destroy All Humans games. We have Destroy All Humans 1 and Destroy All Humans 2. I only played the first one back on the PS2, but I also played the remake of both 1 and 2 for you guys, and already covered those in reminiscing videos and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just great to have, you know, original copies here on Xbox, and that's awesome and great to see. And yeah, for Destroy All Humans 2, I do not have the manual, but happy to have these original games on the platform, and yeah, I'm down to play them again. They're just always a fun time. Alrighty, we have PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. Again, another interesting Midway title. I've heard some decent things, have not played this one myself, but it looks like you have some powers and you got like an interesting, you know, premise here, and some different, you know, cool things that you can do. So just kind of interesting experimental stuff during this era. But happy to pick this up and happy to have it in my collection. All right, we have the original Ninja Gaiden here, not the black version that was kind of re-released, and I think they fixed some things, or they changed some things. I wanted the original version of the game here. So it's great to see that they basically remade Ninja Gaiden 2, which I already have an original Xbox 360 copy of, but you know, these games were always extremely challenging, and even Ninja Gaiden 2 I couldn't even get through. Like, it was a good game, but like I couldn't get through it. It was really challenging, man, you know, and I'm someone who like completes all the Souls games, you know, and I'll sit there and grind if I have to, but yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2 was extremely difficult, so I'm kind of curious to see what the first game is like when I play it. All right, we have Thief Deadly Shadows. I have this game on PC, and I think I tried it a couple times, but there was always something that kind of came up that prevented me from really getting into the game. But in any case, I'm happy to have this you know, version on console here. This is probably where I'm going to give it a shot next time. But in any case, yeah, I wanted to pick up an original version here and see what the game is like when I give it a chance. Okay, and next up we have Area 51. Not played this game, but again, heard great things about it. It's supposed to be an FPS with the interesting twist that, you know, of course, you know, it's with aliens and stuff like that. I did play the pseudo sequel, the spin-off sequel, Blackgate, was it? I'm trying to remember. The one on Xbox 360 they kind of, you know, released that was somewhat tied to this, but not really. In any case, I do plan to do a reminiscing video on that, and of course this when I play it in the future. All right, we're winding down to our last couple of Xbox games here. We have Burnout 3 Takedown. I already have the other two Burnout games on PS2, but wanted to get this game. I remember playing this a ton. This might have been my favorite in the franchise, or at least one of my favorites. I just love the Burnout games in particular, and this game was always quite kind of just hectic and just insane to me, just highly addicting. So happy to have an original copy here on Xbox, and you know, playing it, and I'll definitely do a reminiscing video on this in the future. Next up we have Dead to Rights 2. I have the original game as well as Retribution, I think it's called, on Xbox 360, but finally found the sequel that I was kind of looking for. So yeah, I've heard some decent things about these earlier games. I do want to give them a shot. I have not played any of the franchise's games, but I guess I'm kind of looking forward to giving these games a chance when I do, and when I do I will cover them in a video. So yeah. All right, next up we have Turok Evolution. I have not played the earlier Turok games except one of them on the N64. I remember playing some split screen with some buddies way back in the day. I just have like one faint memory of that. And of course the Turok reboot in 2008, which is kind of a beloved favorite of mine. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to try out Evolution here. I've heard some mixed things. I think they try to do some different things with this title, and it kind of was a hit or miss. But looking forward to playing it when I get a chance. All right, we have True Crime Streets of LA. I have heard only one of the True Crime games was actually really good. I believe it was this one, Streets of LA. The other one that takes place in New York, I heard was not that great. Or it might have just been the other way around that I'm remembering now. But in any case, yeah, this is a franchise that's kind of been absent. Of course, we got Sleeping Dogs, which was originally True Crime Hong Kong. And now that franchise is kind of also dead. So I just miss these games, man, these types of style of games when they would put you in this kind of playground open world and let you do all this fun stuff. It was just awesome, but perhaps we'll see them again one day. All right, we have Soul Calibur 2 up next. I don't know if I played this one, perhaps maybe in the arcades every now and again, but yeah, it's an older title. Soul Calibur is all right to me. The only recent game I played was Soul Calibur 6 on the Xbox One, and I thought that was okay. It wasn't particularly great, but yeah, kind of mixed on that, so I guess I'll give this one a chance when I play it. All right, we have The Sims 2 next. I love The Sims as a franchise, and The Sims 2 has always been my favorite in the series. I did play the original PS2 version back in the day, but this is the original Xbox version, which I hope has better frame rate than that original PS2 version. But in any case, yeah, this is just awesome to see. I love this game. I have so many memories of just building all these houses and just doing all this fun, crazy stuff, and this particular game really made me fall in love with the franchise. All right, we have Batman Begins up next, the movie tie-in game for the Nolan films back when that was starting. Very interesting to think about when those movies were starting up. But yeah, movie tie-in games were somewhat common. I don't really know too much about this. I only started playing Batman games with the Arkham Asylum game, and really got into the franchise there. So I guess I'm kind of curious to see what they do here with, I guess the older Batman games, but I don't really have high expectations, to be quite honest. But in any case, I guess I'll give it a chance and let you guys know what I think when I play it. All right, and our final two games here, I have Time Splitters 2 as well as Future Perfect on Xbox, and I believe I own the original Time Splitters on PS2. I think I have a copy of that. But in any case, really, really happy to have these. These are just great shooters from back in the day, and just extremely classic, timeless games. And yeah, having the original Xbox copies here, but I believe Future Perfect and Time Splitters 2 are backwards compatible on the Series X, so that's awesome to see. But these are just very clean copies, and again, I was really happy to find these when I did. Alright guys, so we're done with the original Xbox pickups. Now I'm moving on to the PS2, and the first game we have here is Burnout 2 Point of Impact. I guess when I picked up the games the last time, I only had the first Burnout, but I did find the second one as well as Takedown, so I now have all of the Burnout titles in my collection, which is just awesome. And I have the original PS2 copy here, which is just great to see. So yeah, excellent copy of the game, an excellent game at that, and just had a lot of fun playing this one. All right, next up we have some Ace Combat games. I have Ace Combat 4, Shattered Skies, as well as 5, The Unsung War. And these games were really never on my radar until I played Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, and I just really love that game. So I wanted to pick up the earlier games in the franchise and see what these are all about and play them. But I'm happy to find really clean copies of these games on PS2, and yeah, just looking forward to giving these games a chance. All right, here's one I was actually happy to find. This is the original Ico for PS2, and I never actually played this game. I only played Shadow of the Colossus. Well, I guess the reboot or the remake of Shadow of the Colossus, excuse me. They did release, obviously, this with Shadow of the Colossus on PS3 in the form of a bundle, but I never really played that, and I never really got into these games prior to playing those recently released titles, excuse me, on current gen systems. But happy to find an original copy here. There's no manual at all, and the disc, as you can see, is just kind of battered, but the actual condition of it is pretty good. Especially with blue discs like this, you need to be very careful. So because I don't really see this game around a lot, I still haven't seen it, in my stores at all. I wanted to pick this one up. The price was somewhat decent, but yeah, I may look for like a better case or a better manual in the future. All right, we have Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness, the infamous game that was kind of the downfall for the franchise, and I believe the last Tomb Raider game from Core Design, which was the original developers behind the franchise, before Crystal Dynamics took over and produced Tomb Raider Legend, which is one of my favorites of all time. So yeah, pretty interesting. Also pretty interesting, they were advertising the movie The Chronicle of Life, which is the sequel to the Angelina Jolie movie that I did not really care for either. So, but yeah, I found this, and obviously we just got the Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remaster. I've heard that, they're patching up, apparently, this version of the remaster on current gen systems because it didn't do so well, or it was just having some polishing issues. But I'm playing through right now Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remaster and really, really loving it. So looking forward to playing the remaster of, 4 through 6, as well as this original game when I get to it. All right, and as I just talked about Ico, makes sense to also talk about here Shadow of the Colossus, which, again, I have not played this original version. I only played the remake on PlayStation 4, but I found this really nice, clean copy, and I was just like, yeah, I gotta pick this up. And so it has all the appropriate manuals. It's a greatest hit disc, but that to me doesn't really matter as much as having the original case and box and all that stuff. So that's something I'll contend with. But yeah, happy to have this original game, and looking forward to playing the original version when I have a chance. Here's another one I was really happy to find. This is the original Killzone, which I did actually do a video of way back in the day before Killzone 2 came out. So yeah, it was quite interesting. So I had a demo basically of Killzone, the original Killzone, via a demo disc, and that's how I was kind of playing it back then. Yeah, I was quite looking forward to Killzone 2 when it was coming out, and I played all the other games except this original first one. I would really love Sony to just remake the original Killzone here. I think they could do such a good job remaking it and changing up the color palette, changing up the combat, and making it just really intense and visceral. I think it would do really well today, but sadly it's a different Sony that we're talking about these days from back then. All right, we have Ridge Racer 5, I believe a launch title for the PS2. I only played Ridge Racer 7 on the PlayStation 3, and I believe one of the PSP games. And they're decent games in their own right. Very kind of relaxed, chill games with just some excellent music and stuff like that, and a lot of style. So that's really awesome to see. But yeah, I'm happy to have an original version here, and I am interested in playing these older titles to see what they're like. All right, we have another Star Wars game up next. This is Bounty Hunter, which I believe was just remastered and re-released somewhat recently. Not played this game at all, but it looks interesting. Of course, you're playing as a bounty hunter and going after people, and yeah, it could be an interesting premise and stuff like that. They were just really putting out a lot of Star Wars games during this era. It's quite remarkable when you look at all the Star Wars games that came out and how quickly they were coming out during this time. And from what I understand, they're all pretty good too. There wasn't like a lot of stinkers, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, kind of looking forward to playing this when I get a chance. All right, and we also have Star Wars Battlefront, the original Battlefront. This is a greatest hits version, so I do want to get a replacement for the cover art. That's the original copy here. But we got the original disc and we have the original manual, so it's not a complete loss there. But yeah, just happy to have this. I never actually played the original Battlefront games. I missed out on them during this era, but yeah, looking forward to giving it a chance when I can. All right, and we have the very first Midnight Club here. I don't know if I played this one. Obviously, I had a lot of fun with Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, but I don't know if I played the first one or the second one. But in any case, this is a launch title for the PS2 back then. I heard it's rather simplistic and almost, kind of resembles nothing from the Midnight Club games and the more recently released ones, I should say. But in any case, kind of looking forward to seeing what the grassroots of the franchise were, and looking forward to giving it a chance. All right, we got some Need for Speed titles here. We have Need for Speed Underground 2, as well as a greatest hits version of Hot Pursuit 2. I have not been able to find a standard version of Hot Pursuit 2. Hot Pursuit 2 is one of my favorite racing games of all time. I just had so much fun playing this. But when I saw this, obviously with the manual, and even it's a greatest hits version, I still wanted to pick it up because I had not seen this game around. But I do want to get original box art, so that is something I'm going to have to kind of shop for. Underground 2, I don't know if I played this one, or I might have played it and I just don't remember it as well as Hot Pursuit. I'm gonna have to kind of wait and see here, but yeah, you know, I'm just happy to have these games, of course, and I would just love to see another Hot Pursuit game in today's, you know, with today's graphics and stuff. It would just be awesome. All right, here's a title I know very little about, but looked very interesting. This is Extermination, which I believe is like a horror game. Yeah, it's some type of like horror shooter. I don't really know what else to say about this. I'm not really too, you know, in the know with what this game is really about. But when I was doing like kind of shopping around, this one looked really interesting, so I decided to pick it up. We got a nice, clean copy of the game here with the full manual and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess when I give it a chance, I'll see what it's like then. I guess this is a Sony published title, so yeah, interesting. All right, we have the Getaway Black Monday up next. I have the first Getaway. This is the sequel, so it was nice to find this and, you know, have it so I can have both of those games in my collection now. And these games are just beloved. It's so sad we never got a third Getaway game with the PS3. You know, that was in development, and then they kind of canceled that. I really think it would have been interesting to see a game like that on that state of hardware. But you know, nevertheless, these games are kind of you know, lost to that era. Okay, we have The Operative, No One Lives Forever, one of the earlier games from Monolith Studios, which is sadly no longer with us. I'm just going to be sour forever that Warner Brothers closed them. It's just absolutely pathetic in my opinion. In any case, this looked quite interesting. It's kind of like a take on James Bond, I guess. I got a very basic copy here, but yeah, I wanted to give this one a shot, and I love Monolith and their current games, so yeah, I guess I'll see what this one's like when I play it. Okay, we have the very original Kingdom Hearts here. I never really got into the Kingdom Hearts games. I think I played either this one or the second one only, but I want to give this original game, you know, a chance again and kind of see what it's like. I really love this cover art though. I mean, just look how gorgeous this is. It's absolutely beautiful, the cover art and stuff. So I was really happy to find this original copy of the game, very clean copy at that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what this game is going to be like. Obviously, you know, they're still kind of going with the Kingdom Hearts games. It's got one of those rabid fan bases, so it'll be interesting to see what playing this original game is like all these years later. All right, next up we have the original Mafia. I already have this game on PC, and I've heard that this version of the game is like a very compromised, kind of gimped version of what the original Mafia was. Apparently they had to take some things out in order for it to fit on console, but I'm still very curious to see what the experience is like. And of course I already have it on PC, so if I just want to go back and play it, I can do that. And I did play the remake of the game, which I also heard was like a very simplistic, you know, shortened version of basically this game. It's nothing similar, but in any case, happy to have the original PS2 copy here. All right, and we have the original Jak and Daxter here, the precursor legacy. I had Jak 2 and Jak 3 in my collection, but never found the original game until now. So I do actually have all three Jak games now. I might pick up Jak X and stuff like that, and you know, the racing game and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, just happy to have the first game here, so I at least have the core trilogy. And continuing with some Sony first-party games here, we have the original Ratchet & Clank, as well as Deadlocked, Going Commando, and Up Your Arsenal. So I believe these are all the Ratchet & Clank games on PS2. These other games are the Greatest Hits version. I have not been able to find these games in their original copies. I was really surprised when I found the very first, you know, Ratchet & Clank on you know, PS2 here in its original case, but I have not been able to find the other ones either. So I hope that I can one day, because it would be nice to kind of have, you know, you can see here I have the full manual and stuff for a lot of these games. So it'd be great just to have the original cover art to kind of go along with that, you know. But obviously, you know, the Ratchet & Clank franchise is still going strong. They're just really fun games today. I love seeing what they can do with the visuals, especially Rift Apart was just a fantastic game. And I did enjoy the remake of the first game. I just heard again that they changed a lot of things when it came to the dialogue and the style of the game. Like the new version's less, it's more comical, and it's just more child friendly. Like they censored some of the humor a little bit. But in any case, looking forward to playing these games when I have a chance. Okay, we have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets up next. This game is one of my favorites from my childhood. When I picked up the Hogwarts Legacy game a couple years ago, and I was talking about, oh, you know, I played Chamber of Secrets back then. It was just awesome. I was talking about this particular game. it's just it was just really cool, you know. And they gave you kind of this free reign to explore, you know, the Hogwarts castle and all this stuff. And I'm just happy to see that they finally realized the potential within this franchise for a modern game. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Hogwarts Legacy 2, because it'll probably be quite excellent. But I'm kind of curious to see what going back to this original game will be like. You know, I was never a huge Harry Potter fan, but I did enjoy the movies here and there. And yeah, I just remember playing this game a ton as a kid and really having a great time. All right, next up we have the infamous original copy of Deus Ex: The Conspiracy, which is just the first game for PS2. I say infamous because it's quite notorious that they basically, similar to how like Mafia was on the PS2, they kind of gimped this version down, and apparently it's not really the best version of the original game. Now, I already have Deus Ex on PC, and I have the revision as well, which is kind of like the modded fan remaster of the original game. But I did want to have this copy of the game because you know, I wasn't PC gaming until later on in my life, so this is probably where I would have started playing the franchise if I was old enough and I was aware. So anyway, happy to have this original copy here, and yeah, I do want to give this particular version a chance and see what it's like. Okay, we got some Grand Theft Auto games. I have Grand Theft Auto 3, I showed that off already, but this is San Andreas as well as Vice City. Vice City is like the full package here. You know, I have all the appropriate manuals and the posters. Unfortunately with San Andreas though, I just have the game disc. I do want to find a manual and stuff, and so I have all basically the you know, the launch version as much as I can of the original games here on PS2. But I already played, you know, these games technically through the remaster, the trilogy remaster. After they patched it, of course, apparently that game is in a much better state. But I enjoyed playing those, you know, through that version. But I'm kind of curious to see what this original copy will be like, and how these experiences will fare. Okay, and we have Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I was really happy to find this particular version of GT3 because this is the original, you know, copy that came out with store shelves. What they had before is they had a bundle with the PS2 that you could buy, and I guess a lot of copies that are currently in circulation feature like the red cover art and all the stuff that was included with those consoles. So this is an original version of the game without, you know, that you could just buy on store shelves without buying the PS2. So happy to have that. I already have GT4 as well on PlayStation 2, excuse me, and happy to have this now A-Spec here, GT3, on that console as well. So looking forward to playing this again when I have a chance. Okay, and we're winding down to our last few PS2 games here. We have Cold Winter up next. I've heard some interesting things about this, and you know, this is another game that I haven't seen a lot of copies of around, so when I saw it, I definitely wanted to pick it up. Looks quite interesting here. Got a full manual, got the full game disc and all that stuff. So yeah, looking forward to playing this when I have a chance. Okay, and we had Devil May Cry 2 up next. I believe I have the first Devil May Cry, but I do not have Devil May Cry 3. I still need to pick that up. That's another game that I have not seen around in store shelves, but happy to have this original copy here. I just love the cover art for this one. As you can see as well, I got the double disc thing set up here, which includes all the bonus content. I'm gonna have to look more closely into, yeah, it says sequel to smash hit Devil May Cry, play as Dante. I'm not sure what this second disc entails. So someone will have to let me know if there's like exclusive bonus content or something like that, or if this particular, you know, these two discs are kind of rare. I don't really know. I already have the, you know, the trilogy remaster on PC already, but happy to have these original copies of the game. Okay, and we have Onimusha Warlords. I'm really happy this franchise is coming back. I know I played one of these games on PS2, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say that it was this one. But I don't really have a lot of vivid memories of this. But in any case, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this one is like, or replaying it again. Perhaps when I'm playing it, those memories will just kind of flood back to me. Sometimes that happens when I'm replaying these games. Something will happen in the game, and it'll like trigger like some deja vu thing within me. I'll be like, wait, I've seen this before. But in any case, happy to have the new game coming out, and this one looks interesting. Okay, here's another game from our childhood, 24 the Game. I was hugely in love with the show back when this was running on Fox, and I was really happy they were making a tie-in game. This is a PlayStation 2 exclusive. They got all the characters back, and basically it's a retelling of season, I believe, 2 and 3. I believe that's the thing, but it's a really interesting game in that they kind of let you have free reign to explore levels, and there's like actual like open world driving missions and stuff like that. It's really particularly interesting. So I remember having a ton of fun with this game and just being, quite happy with the presentation here. But I'm kind of curious to see what playing the game is like all these years later is going to be. But I'm happy to have this. This is a big one from my childhood. All right, we have the original SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs here. I had SOCOM 2 and 3 already in my collection, but had not found the original copy, and finally found it and decided to pick it up here. And we got a full, complete game with the manual, paperwork, and all that stuff. So very happy to have this. I never really got into the SOCOM franchise during this era where this was like the height of multiplayer gaming for a lot of people back then. So kind of curious to see what playing at least the single player campaigns are going to be like. All right, and another one I was really happy to find. This is the original God of War here, the original copy and stuff like that. Yeah, I did play this back then, and man, this game was just really crazy, really intense. I remember being just really shocked by the graphics as well, and just the epic fights and stuff like that. I never really, cared for the God of War franchise overall. At least, everyone was in love with God of War 3, and I just remember playing that game or trying to play it twice, and I just couldn't really, I had a hard time getting into it. I couldn't really get into it. But I'm actually curious with going back to replay all these games is going to be like. I have not decided if I'm going to pick up God of War 2 for PS2 or if I'm just going to do like the remaster for PS3 because it was interesting. They released God of War 2 for PS2 well into the PS3's life cycle. So I'm going to have to see what's sort of around. All right, and we have Beyond Good and Evil, the original Beyond Good and Evil here. Still waiting on the sequel to this game, which is stuck in limbo and has been restarted with development like several times. The game is just cursed at this point. They can't seem to get that game off the ground. I never actually played the original Beyond Good and Evil, so it'd be interesting to play this again and see what it's like and see what the experience is, and I guess I'll let you guys know when I get to it. All right, we have ATV Off-Road Fury 2. I already have ATV Off-Road Fury 1 and 3, so this completes sort of my trilogy. I think they did a fourth game. Well, they might have done a fourth game. I'm trying to think now. I know I have it on PSP as well, the ATV Blazing Trails. But in any case, I remember playing these games a ton back in the day. These were a lot of fun, and always enjoyed these titles, and was really shocked at the graphics at the time. These are some of the earlier games in the generation. When I got my PS2, I was like, oh my god, the game looks so good. So anyway, yeah, kind of curious to see what this is like. All right, we have Oni up next, one of the earlier titles from Rockstar, but most notably Bungie, before Bungie was working on the Halo franchise. I've never played this, but I saw this original copy here, and I was like, oh, I gotta get this. And I love that it has this reflective cover art here. That's just excellent to see. It's a full, complete version of the game. Yeah, like I said, not played this, but I'm kind of curious to see what it's like coming from an earlier era before Bungie did the Halo games, and it looks, third person, so it's a completely different style to the modern games that they make today. And our final game here for the PlayStation 2 is the original SSX. Loved these games back then. I never really cared for snowboarding or skateboarding, but I always enjoyed those styles of games. So yeah, this is just awesome. I want to get the other SSX games like Tricky and all that stuff. Yeah, I'll keep my eye out for those. But I was just happy to find this original version of the game. I believe this is also a launch title on the PlayStation 2. So yeah, another excellent one to pick up, and looking forward to replaying these when I have a chance. And I think that's going to do it for my game collection here. So let me say goodbye to you guys properly. So there you guys have it. Those are all of the games I have on PS2 and Xbox, at least the newer pickups ones that I got in addition to those games I showed off in previous videos. Yeah, I think the next time you'll probably see me talking about the PS2 and Xbox is when I do a full collection video when I get everything. So keep an eye out for that. As I'm sort of, getting down my list here, the rest of the games I have to get are some of the more pricier ones, and I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm going to have to be spending probably, closer to 60, 70, sometimes even $100 to get some of these games physically, and I do really want to get the original versions, of course, on disc. It's just the joys of collecting and also playing these games and eventually doing reminiscing videos in the future. All right, but in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you guys started collecting at all for PS2 and Xbox, if you had a collection going, or if this is something you want to do in the future, and perhaps some of the games that I have or some of the ones that you guys would like me to pick up. Just feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll do some research and I guess get back to you then. All right, have a good day, guys, and thank you so much for watching this video.